All right, let's dive in. Today, we're on a mission to master a skill that is absolutely critical for any project controls apprentice, and that's skill S2. You can think of it as your secret weapon, your complete toolkit for success. If you're on this apprenticeship journey, you already know this is a huge deal. So let's get you ready to crush it.
So let me introduce you to Jody. She's a level 6 project controls apprentice over at IBIS Stores. And right now, she's on a pretty crucial mission. We're talking about a challenge that could really define her whole career and, more importantly, it's the key to her passing her apprenticeship.
So what's her biggest hurdle? You guessed it, conquering skill S2. But what is skill S2, really? And why is it so important for your apprenticeship? Here's a hint, it's not just about clicking buttons in some software. Nope, it's about learning to think like a real project controller. Let's break this thing down.
Okay, so our first mission, should you choose to accept it, is to decode this skill. Because, look, you can't master something if you don't know what you're up against, right? We need to know exactly what the assessors are looking for, and honestly, why any of this even matters.
So, at its heart, Skill 2 is all about using project controls software, for all the big tasks like planning, managing costs, and analyzing risk. But, and this is the important part, see that last bit? It's also about having the smarts to select the right tool for the job. And trust me, that's what really separates the pros from the apprentices.
And hey, here's some good news, so you can take a deep breath. You are not expected to be a software developer. Whew, right? The goal isn't to build the software, it's to become a master at using it, applying these tools to keep projects on track. I love this analogy. Think of yourself as the pilot, not the aerospace engineer. Your job is to fly the plane, not build the engine from scratch. Okay, so with that in mind, let's take a look at your control panel. These are the tools of the trade. With so much different software out there, it can get kind of overwhelming. So it really helps to think of it like the command center of a spaceship with a specific lever and gauge for every single function.
So check it out. Your control panel has a tool for pretty much everything. For planning and scheduling, mapping out the project's timeline, you'll be using the big guns like Primavera P6 or MS Project. Need to keep an eye on the money? You'll be working in systems like Oracle or SAP. What about trying to predict what might go wrong? Well, for risk analysis, you've got specialized tools like At-Risk. And my favorite part? Turning all that boring data into cool visual stories. That's where you'll build dashboards in Power BI or Tableau. See? Every task has its own go-to tool.
So the big question is, how does Jody go from just knowing about these tools to actually mastering them? Well, this is where her mentor, Adam, steps in. Adam's all about practical, hands-on experience, and he gives her this awesome, super clear 5-step flight plan to build up her skills, one step at a time.
Adam's flight plan is a super logical journey. It starts with just understanding the tools. Then you get your hands dirty with real experience. Next up, and this one is huge, you master integration, making all the different tools talk to each other. After that, you learn to pick the right software for the right problem. And finally, you show your confidence by really owning your work. Simple, right? All right, let's look at step 1. This is all about laying a solid foundation. You're not just memorizing a list of software names like Primavera or Tableau. No, you're getting to know the whole landscape, what each program is built for, what it's good at, what it's not so good at, and where it fits in the grand scheme of a project. Okay, step 2 is where the fun really begins. This is where you jump from theory straight into practice. We're talking about getting your hands on the actual software and doing real work. Creating schedules in MS Project, tracking real-life project costs, and building awesome performance reports in Power BI that managers will actually use to make big decisions. Now on to step 3, integration. And listen up, because this is so important. Imagine a project where the schedule has no idea what the budget is doing. That project is basically flying blind. You absolutely have to learn how to connect these different systems, like linking your schedule with your cost software. That way you get one single live picture of your project's health. Without that, problems will sneak up on you every time. And Adam has a piece of advice here that is just golden. He says, the best tool isn't the most complicated one, it's the right one for the job. Think about it. If you pick some super complex tool for a simple task, you're just wasting time and asking for trouble. This is where you start to really think critically, choosing your tools with a clear purpose, not just grabbing the one that has the fanciest features. And all of this builds up to the last 2 steps, and this is where you really level up. So in step 4, you're not just told what tool to use anymore,
Instead, you're looking at a project's needs and picking the software yourself. And then step 5, the end goal, is when you're confidently managing all these tasks independently. You become the person on the team that everyone goes to for the stuff. Okay, so Jody is well on her way to building the skill. But, and this is a big but, how does she prove it? Because for an apprentice, doing the work is only half the battle. You have to prove you did it. That brings us to our next section, gathering your mission logs. And for this, we're going to bring in her coach, Olivia, who is an absolute expert when it comes to passing this apprenticeship. So Coach Olivia's whole job is to get Jody ready for her big assessment. It's not enough to just do the work, you have to document every single bit of it perfectly in your Aptem portfolio. The easiest way to think about Aptem is like your official evidence journal. It's the digital logbook where you prove without a doubt that you've hit all the right criteria. So let's get practical. How do you turn your day-to-day work into rock-solid evidence? It's simple. Did you create a project schedule? Great. Don't just write, "I made a schedule." Take a screenshot of the Gantt chart and put that in your portfolio. Did you build a dashboard? Awesome. Show a sample of it, maybe pointing out the key performance indicators. Did you have to choose a software for a task? Perfect. Write up a quick report explaining why you picked that one over the others. The key is to be specific and whenever you can, be visual. So, at the end of the day, what are the assessors really looking for in that portfolio? Well, Olivia's checklist lays it all out. First, they want to see that you're using the software correctly and efficiently. Second, they need to see a clear, direct line between what you did in the software and a good project outcome. Third, they want proof that you can justify your choices. And finally, they want to see that you can make different tools work together. If you can hit all these points, you're basically building a case that's impossible to argue with. And that brings us to the final debrief, your endpoint assessment, the EPA. This is it, the final stage. It's basically a professional chat where you show off your portfolio and answer questions from an independent assessor. Look, you've already done all the hard work. You've gathered all the evidence. Now it's just about talking about it with confidence. But that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you take all that experience, all that evidence, and explain it in a way that's clear and confident during that EPA discussion? This is your moment to connect all the dots for the assessor, and we're going to make sure you absolutely nail it. Okay, here is a simple but super powerful way to structure your answers. When they ask you something like, "How did your use of software help the project?" I want you to think STAR. First, S for situation. Describe the problem. For example, the project was in danger of going over budget. Next, T for tool. Name the software you chose and why. So I chose Power BI because I needed a way to visualize the spending for the project manager. Then A for action. Explain exactly what you did. I pulled in all the cost data and built a dashboard that tracked our spending against the budget in real time. And finally, R for result. Show the positive outcome. Because of that dashboard, the PM spotted the overspend super early and we were able to get the project back on track. Situation, tool, action, result. It's clear, it's structured, and honestly, it works every single time. And remember, when you're talking to that assessor, you're not just listing tasks. You're telling the story of your own growth. You didn't just walk in on day one knowing all this stuff, right? You started out using single tools, then you figured out how to make complex systems talk to each other. And now here you are, creating high-quality reports that actually help guide the project. That is the powerful journey you need to communicate. So look at where we are. Jody's got her flight plan from Adam. She's got her assessment strategy from Olivia. She totally gets the mission. She knows how to build the skill, and she knows exactly how to prove it. And the best part? Now you have that exact same plan. You are officially ready to start your own mission. So the only question left is, are you ready for launch?